So, if I showed you this game, Moto2 Grand Prix, the first thing you'd probably think of is, oh, that looks like Mario Kart. And in a way, you'd be correct. I mean, it's a clearly arcade racer. It's a kart racer with cartoon characters, and there's item drops which do something. Still haven't figured out what yet. But there's something a bit more interesting about this game that some people just might not know about. So when you see this game, the last thing you would think of is Gran Turismo. But these games are actually a lot closer than you think. Let me explain. So, Moto2 Grand Prix, well, the first one, anyway, there were two. The first one was released on the 16th of December 1994, and it was exclusively released in Japan. Now, this is not to get confused with the second game, which was released outside of Japan, but that was in 1996. This is the original, and it was a Japanese exclusive. Now, the company that developed this game was Polis Entertainment, which was a subsidiary of Sony Computer Entertainment, which, obviously, as you know, is the main publisher for the Gran Turismo series. And you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't really mean the games are linked. It just has the same publisher. I know, but there's more. See, at the time that this game was developed, the person in charge of Polis Entertainment at the time was none other than Kazunori Yamauchi. I am very sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't speak Japanese. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, he is currently the CEO of Polyphony Digital, the company that makes Gran Turismo. He was the director and concept artist for this game. Which again, most people think, oh well, that's probably just a coincidence. Again, don't be so sure, because I mean, I haven't really fact checked this. This is just what I've heard. This is just, we're in rumour territory now. But apparently, Kaz actually wanted to make a simulator racing game. But Sony told him it would never work. You know, the simulator racing genre doesn't really exist. You know, is it something really people would really be interested in? So he did a kart racer instead. But from what I've heard, he used Moto2 Grand Prix as a basis for perfecting the physics for a racing game, which would later become Gran Turismo. So when you play this game, you are actually playing a very, very early prototype of Gran Turismo. They've just disguised it as a kart racer, so Sony don't question them about it. Again, this is what I've heard. Don't hold me to it. I don't know how much of that is true. But that does beg the question. It's very interesting that of all the games that this could have become, Gran Turismo is probably the last thing you'd expect. That's like finding out that Forza Horizon used to be like a tank driving simulator from 1976. It's not linked at all. I mean, the only similarity is that it's a racing game. That's it. There's nothing else. So, I mean, obviously I played Moto2 Grand Prix, and obviously when this game was made, it was Polis Entertainment, and then they made the first Gran Turismo in 97 and 1998. The company was changed from Sony Computer Entertainment to Polyphony Digital. That was the company, that was when their name was changed in 98, and that's what they're known as currently. So, this is basically an early prototype for Gran Turismo, as I said. But you wouldn't know that just by playing it, because although it's developed by the same person and it's basically just a secret project just for the sake of it, well, it's weird. It's weird because obviously it's an arcade game. You can't argue that it is an arcade racing game, but it doesn't feel, well, it does feel arcade, but it's very weird because obviously most arcade games, especially kart races, are very like, put a big emphasis on drifting. You know, you need to drift to go around the corners properly, and it's very easy to drift. You can go around every corner at 1,000,000 miles an hour. This game, you cannot do that. You have to brake for the tight corners, you have to slow down. And it's actually very hard to drift. The game doesn't really encourage you to do it. And when you do, it's usually, if anything, makes you slower. And that's, yeah, it takes a lot of, it's quite hard to actually get the car to drift. Which again proves the whole thing that maybe this is, you can kind of see the Gran Turismo-ness when you play it, especially in the physics department. But at the same time, you can't. It's so very hard to explain. The only way you'd know is if you've played the original Gran Turismo, play this, and then play the original Gran Turismo. I'm going to do that at some point. I have the original Gran Turismo on disc. I'm going to play it after recording this video, and I'm just going to see how similar it actually is. Because I remember the first Gran Turismo, of all of the Gran Turismo, being the most arcadey of all of them. You know, I mean, none of them were like really full simulators, but the first one was probably the most arcade of the lot. So yeah, I'm definitely going to play it again, see how similar it actually is. But yeah, I mean, just move my microphone. So, I mean, what's the game like, really? I mean, you probably saw from the menus, there isn't really too much to it. There's a race mode, a time attack mode, there's a dual, like, multiplayer mode, and then there's something else, tournament or challenge, a championship. I don't read it. I probably should pay attention to stuff like that. But again, it kind of like Ridge Racer that we looked at last week. It's very bare bones. There's not much to it. But again, that's kind of the point. Like, if this wasn't really, you could tell this wasn't really a passion project. It was just a test bed. That's all it was, and it shows when you play it, because there really isn't that much to it. There's 5, I'll say characters, 5 vehicles that you can drive, and 3 tracks. Well, from what I've seen anyway, there might be more you can unlock later, I don't know. But from when you take it straight out of the box, put it in, 5 cars, 3 tracks. And then 3 difficulty modes of easy, medium, hard, or easy, normal, hard. Well, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Nothing too exciting. Obviously, as I said before, there is items in the game, but other than one, I couldn't really figure out what they're meant to do. I mean, the one that I had turned my character into a robot with legs, and he just ran around the track, but he didn't go any slower. So I don't really know what that was about. If anyone can give me context on that, that'd be great. But yeah, it's not a bad game. They got the same thing as Ridge Racer last week. Just because it's bare bones doesn't mean it's bad. It's not a bad game. The controls are surprisingly decent for an old arcade racer. The graphics, I mean, I know I'm playing it on an emulator and they do bump it up, but genuinely they're not that bad. I've seen games that came out 10 years later that look worse. So, you know, it's pretty crazy to think about that. This game it wasn't a launch title, but it was released about 2 weeks after the PS1 was released. So the PS1 hadn't been out that long when this game was created. But yeah, it's just okay. So another interesting thing I've found when playing it is, I'm not saying they're good, because they're not, but the engine sounds are unique for every vehicle. The 3 cars I drove all had a different engine sound. Like I said, they're not necessarily good sounds, but at least they're unique. As well, every car was different. Like the big robot thing was pretty solid. Like, it didn't really slow down much over jumps and stuff, and it went around corners quite smoothly, and it was decently quick but not over the top. The red sports car thing was very, very quick, but a bit crap in the corners. And then the sort of like the villainous gothic car thing was like, it was slow. It very, very slow. But I don't know if it's just the track I was on. Might have been uphill. You know, there's 3 camera views from what I can see. It's just a third-person view that you just basically zoom out as and when you please. The track design is decent. I mean, it's very, you know, every track is completely different. It's not like Ridge Racer where they've just added an extra bit on the same track and then flipped it around. That doesn't really count. It's only one track, just a long and a short layout. This game has 3 completely unique tracks, and they're very, very different. You know, I mean, the first track was quite flat and not that chaotic. The second and third track had crazy jumps and The decor on the track was insane. Like the third one, you obviously were in someone's house. Nice Gulliver's Travellers reference there. If you saw the title of the track. Um, so the first one was like a countryside. The second one was like, oh, what was it like? Someone's space. I don't even know what the second one was supposed to be, to be honest. But then the third one was obviously in someone's house. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I'm not really a huge fan of like kart racers. But this one was alright. It was difficult. It was difficult though. I was a bit confused about because because the cars you see on the track, you're not actually racing all of them. Because you've obviously got the other characters that you can play as they're driving around the track, but then you've also got these like sort of blue and green like buggy looking things, which they don't count towards your position. They are purely there to get in the way. So I guess that's the game's way of like adding NPC traffic, I guess. It just gives you something to avoid, something to slow you down. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun game. It's very fun, very challenging. Is it as good as Ridge Racer? Probably not. I know. At this point, you probably think I'm a massive Ridge Racer whore, but truth be told, Ridge Racer is just better. It just is. And I know this game has more tracks, and the tracks are more unique. And I know it has. Well, actually, it doesn't have more vehicles actually, because if you unlock the extra car, that's the thing. That's the thing that people don't understand. It's not just about the quantity; it's the quality. And when it comes to quality, Ridge Racer does better. Ridge Racer is more rewarding. Um, the cars drive better. The music is better. The environments. I mean, to be fair, in Motortoon they do look pretty decent, but I don't know. There's just I don't know if it's just nostalgia talking, because they're both good games. I'm not denying that, but Motortoon Grand Prix is a good game. Ridge Racer is a great game. That's the difference. Because they both kind of do what they say on the tin. They're just a very simple time killer. That's basically what they are. Um, they're both a simple racer game, arcade racer. Neither of them are meant to be taken seriously. But the thing is, Ridge Racer does get quite serious because, like I said, it gets quite difficult towards the end. Obviously, I haven't tried Motortoon Grand Prix on hard difficulty. I imagine it'd be a nightmare because on medium, I didn't win a single race. So, but yeah, I just prefer how the cars handle in Ridge Racer, and like I said, it feels more rewarding. And dare I say it, Motortoon was just a little bit boring. And it's incomprehensible how a game with one track is more entertaining than a game with three. It's crazy, but trust me, if you've played both, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, try and play this either on an emulator or if you get a Japanese PS1, whatever. Try and play it. You'll see what I mean. It's not bad, but it's just not good. But then it brings down to the whole point, like, it's not a passion project. This is not what Kaz actually wanted to make. It was just purely a test bed for Gran Turismo. And like I said, you can tell when you play it because it feels not unfinished, but it feels kind of like half-assed. Like the only thing they cared about was the driving physics. They didn't really care about anything else. Like everything else was an afterthought. And like, yeah, the graphics are decent, the environments are fine, the characters look okay, the tracks are pretty creative, but I feel like they spent a lot of time on the driving aspect rather than the everything else. Whoops. Um, but like I said, it's just a bit odd because as far as arcade games go, it's a lot more realistic than an arcade game typically is. Which I'm not saying it's a simulator because it isn't, but compared to, say, Mario Kart, it is a lot more realistic. And the cars feel like they actually have weight to them. They don't just slide about as and when they please. You have to force it to drift. It won't just drift on its own. You have to slow down for tight corners. You can't just go around every corner at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So it's weird because obviously if you bought it expecting an arcade racer, you'd be like, it's kind of like in between, like, I don't know if I'd go as far to say it's a simcade. I still think it is pretty arcade. It's just not as arcade as kart races typically are. Like Ridge Racer as well is like full arcade. You know, there's no realism in that game at all. But in this, there sort of is to an extent. Obviously, the cars are stretching and wobbling about when they turn. That's obviously not realistic. But yeah, it's a weird experience because, yeah, it did feel like I was playing Gran Turismo, which it's very difficult to explain because you know it's one of those things you just have to play it to understand. But yeah. So would I obviously I've already said I'd rank Ridge Racer higher. Where would I rank this? I don't even know if I did a ranking of Ridge Racer, but we're doing rankings now. I'm going to do like a tier list thing. So I'll put Ridge Racer on where I think it goes. I'm going to put this in C tier because it's not bad. It's kind of like in the middle. It's sort of meh. But yeah, it's fine. It's not offensive. It's pretty straightforward. It's not inherently bad. It's just kind of yeah. It doesn't have the fun factor that Ridge Racer does. And it doesn't have the same sense of like tension that Ridge Racer does. Like, not one of those races I wanted to win. That's the thing. In Ridge Racer, you want to win because you can see where the cars are and you're like, I know just a little bit further. I know I can do it. And you can do it if you push hard enough and you drive well enough. You can do it. This game doesn't have a map. It doesn't have any sort of indication of where the other cars are. I mean, it gives you a timer of how far ahead they are, but I don't know. It's almost like the game doesn't really care where you finish. And that's the problem. It's like, because the game doesn't care, I don't really care. Like, I didn't really feel like I wanted to win, like I wanted to do better. I sort of just did a race. I was like, oh, okay. Did another one. Whereas Ridge Racer, it gives you the push to keep going, keep pushing, and keep trying. But yeah, I mean, it's obvious this game is aimed at younger people. I mean, I'm not going to sit here complaining too much about it. And like I said, it's not really serious. It's a test bed. So yeah, I think CT is fair. So yeah. Well, I'm going to leave the video there because I'm getting close to my time limit for the recording. I'm sorry this video is all over the place. I don't script these videos. I just write down things I want to talk about and then kind of say it as it comes out. But then sometimes I sort of forget what I've said or repeat myself or whatever. So I do apologize. I will get better at them. I mean, if I have more time, I probably would write scripts, but I just don't have the time at the minute to write a script as well as record it. So I just kind of wing it. But it feels more natural. You know, it's meant to be a podcast style thing anyway that I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, I might actually release these as podcasts. Let me know if you want to see that or hear it. But anyway, I'm gonna go now. I will see you in the next video, whenever that may be.